So assemblies is another prayer point. Last year I came, SYM didn't do any assemblies, so it's something I've really taken on board to try and get sort of SYM doing. And I've got 3 schools now that I take assemblies in. Sandon and Highlands are my regular assembly schools. And I've got a new school which I'm doing assemblies in, where I always go and teach lessons, Chelmer Valley. They've also asked me to do lots of assemblies next month. So it's very exciting. So I'm going to share with you, literally just for a few minutes, a snippet of my most current assembly. I thought I'd be up to date. This was an assembly I did 2 weeks ago at Sandon. It's a favourite year group of mine. They're a group of year 9s, students who I've taken their assembly many times in such a short space of time. And we start off the assembly and I show them a picture of someone, I was checking you can't see it, a picture of someone everyone knows, at least in the schools. I'm sure most of you will recognise his face, because this guy is in the news every single day at the moment. He's the most talked about man in the news, in the media. He's got the most coverage. It's not one of the Miller bands. It's, of course, Wayne Rooney. Now, the reason I chose Wayne Rooney is because the assembly title was 2 people look at the exact same thing, can look at the exact same thing but see something completely different. Let me just say that again. And 2 people can look at the exact same thing or the exact same person and see something completely different. So we start with Wayne Rooney, and I get the young people to think about what they see when they look at this man. Some see very talented footballer, the best footballer in the world, some may think. Especially if you're a Man United fan, some may think this is a legend in the making. This is a hero of football. He may not be in form at a moment, but he's going to recapture it. We all know he will. And he's going to win United the Champions League, the Premiership, England the World Cup. Some people, they still see a talented footballer, but they support teams like Arsenal, scum, Liverpool or Chelsea, and they still see a talented man, but they see a man who they hate. They love to hate. A man who they're so pleased that he's having the worst time of his life at a moment, because he's their enemy. He's the one man that can really do big dents whenever they play him. Some people don't see a footballer at all. I'm sure when I showed this picture to some of you, you probably saw a man who's very unfaithful, a man who cheats on his wife, sadly with prostitutes, a man who's been in the newspapers for all the wrong reasons. Some people might see something, again, completely different. I'm sure his son will always see him as a father. His wife at a moment still sees him as a husband. We don't know how long for. Hopefully forever. Everyone sees something different, even though they look at the exact same person. See, me, if I was to get married one day to a nice young hot lady, she will look at me completely differently to the way everyone else looks at me. Everyone else will see a normal, everyday, podgy little man who likes his food, the way perhaps John sees me. But my wife will always see the George Clooney lookalike. The world's most handsome,
dream on.
Yeah, the most handsome man she's ever laid eyes on. So, well, maybe not quite that extreme. We often look at things completely different to the person sitting next to us. And there's reasons for that. There's reasons that we see things differently. It's a good thing. It shows that we are all unique, that you all are unique. There's no one like you. There never has been, never will be. It's because of your own personal histories, your own memories, your own experiences, your own likes, your dislikes, your hates, your loves. That's why you see things differently, because there is no one else like you. And I think it's a good thing to know that we often look at things completely differently to the person sitting next to us. And what about when you look at you? When you look at yourself in a mirror, what do you see? Now, the young people may be the same as you. They don't like what they see. They hate what they see. They often put all of these words up on the mirror. Unintelligent, fat, ugly, spotty, unpopular, bad hair, unloved. You could go on and on. Many young people, and perhaps some of you sometimes, see this when you look at yourself. But I think what we can remember, and what I try and remind the students, is that we always look at things slightly differently. There's always, usually always, more than one way to look at something and someone. You may always see the negatives in yourself, but remember, there's probably a lot of positives that somebody probably doesn't see any of these things. And as Christians, of course, we believe that Jesus doesn't see that. Jesus sees you as special, as loved, someone who's so important. And I also finish off the assembly. I get the kids to not just look at themselves differently, not just realise that there's more than one way to look at them, but to look at others differently. And I wonder, do you do the same? Too often we look at people just one way. So often a negative way. I'm sure you can think of people in your life. You choose just to look at them with all the negatives, with all of their flaws, all of their faults. You always put them down. You always have a lower expectation of them. No wonder they so often fail, because of the way you look at them. I encourage the kids to remember there's often a positive way to look at someone. You don't always have to look at the faults of someone. I encourage you to do the same. Maybe there's someone in your life you often just look at in such a bad way. But remember, there's often a completely different way to look at them. So that's it. That's a snippet of my assembly. I hope perhaps you've learned something as well. And I'll hand back to John.